Thank you, Bob. Good morning, everyone. How is everyone this morning? Man, it is good to see everybody this morning. I saw Ganera in the hall this morning, and I thought, oh, my word, Ganera's. Yeah, I mean, it was just good to see everybody this morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Center of Unity. It is a pleasure to be here with you this morning. We are excited about celebrating this Sunday with you, and you on Facebook and YouTube, the same thing. We are excited that you are there. If you had put a comment in there, let us know you're there. We want to be with you this morning as we have this beautiful. Is it spring yet? Is it actually spring, or are we still waiting on tomorrow? So we'll call it spring anyway. We're close enough. In Ezekiel 37, God took Ezekiel up to a valley, and it was full of all of these dry bones. Or perhaps today we might say it was a graveyard, is where God took Ezekiel. And God in Ezekiel walked back and forth among the bones. And God told Ezekiel, he said, prophesy to these bones. Or today we might say, speak to these bones. And God told Ezekiel, he said, tell this to the bones. Listen to what the sovereign Lord says. I will make breath enter you, and you will come to life. I will attach tendons to you and make flesh upon you and cover you with skin, and I will breathe into you, and you will come to life, and you will know that I am the Lord. So Ezekiel did exactly what the Lord said. He prophesied to these bones, and he looked down, and sure enough, tendons and flesh came on the bones and skin, and it covered them. And this whole field of lifeless bodies stood up on their feet and became a vast army. So this morning, as we come together, I ask you, where are you this morning? Do you sometimes feel like those dry bones? Do you feel like sometimes you're just kind of walking through the motions? Are you ready? Are you ready for something? You're ready for something to waken up in your life? Do you need healing in your body? And just like this story, just like God told Ezekiel to speak to your bones, speak to the bones, I want you to speak to your body. Speak it into your mind. Hold the thought of light and life and energy and excitement. Say to your spirit, receive restoration. Receive power. Breathe deeply in the source of all things that created all things. Breathe in the life of God. You give life. You are love. You bring light to the darkness. You give hope. You restore every heart that is broken. Great are you, Lord. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. You give life. You give life. You are love. You bring light to the darkness. You give hope to restore every heart that is broken. Great are you, Lord. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. All the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry. These bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. All earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. All the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise. Pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise. Pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only.
Well, hopefully that's getting the energy flowing this morning. So good to see. We are like full up in here. And so good to see all of the people joining us online. We're just grateful to be together. And Jeff, you were asking about spring. Well, it is tomorrow, but it feels like it's already moving and growing in here. As you probably noticed outside, we have a new roof. Yes. Well, mostly. They're getting there. So that was huge progress this week. And we had a little bit of a miracle this week, too. Nick, can you show them that picture? So this is what it looked like late Wednesday afternoon before we knew we had a storm coming in on Thursday. Um, so that's from the inside of the sanctuary. That's standing at the doors by the foyer. Yeah. We had no roof. It was a wide, and it looks really big when there's nothing in there and you don't have any roof on it. I just want to say, it was like, wow, this is really spacious in this. And here's the miracle that happened. In fact, our contractor, he is a man of faith also. And so Thursday night, we knew we were having storms, and we just said, it'll be what it'll be. We'll fix whatever needs to be fixed if we get a deluge of rain in there. We got not one drop in our sanctuary. And we didn't want to tap into that miracle realm too often. So I'm grateful they got the roof because tomorrow we may not have been quite as lucky. I just feel it. I feel the energy moving. I feel great excitement and expectation of being able to be back in our sanctuary here in the next couple of weeks. So it's good for life to be moving again. It's good to see all the people in here. It's good to see everyone's faces in here. It's kind of an odd phenomena these days. I go like through the Starbucks line. I have not seen these people's faces because I came here and then the pandemic started. So I have not seen them. And I'm like, oh, you look really different. It's like it's a weird thing to never have seen anybody without their mask on. So I am grateful that we're here today. We are in a day of great expectation, and I just invite you to join in that energetic as we feel things beginning to grow as spring comes, as we're moving into a growing phase in our lives and in this community. So let's take that. Let's take all that energy and just focus it right now into our heart space as we just center into this time, to this experience, and open ourselves to all that it has to be able to enliven and renew and resurrect what is seeking to be born, what is seeking to grow within us. And so we just take that very essence of breath, the very thing that connects us with the God source at all moments, and feel it moving through us as hope, as faith, as new life and new possibilities. And we just open ourselves to saying yes to those possibilities as they arise. And it is as we are in this space, that place of gratitude to know that no matter how dark things seem in any given moment, there is always hope calling us. There is always faith giving us strength and the ability to believe and to know. For that and for all the good that is unfolding right now, we say thank you. Thank you, God. Amen.
Good morning. Our fifth unity principle is we can demonstrate now the good we desire. Today we focus on the core value inclusive. We promote a sense of acceptance for all who enter here by exhibiting a welcoming and non-judgmental environment. It is a blessing that here at Center of Unity we do not judge each other for our differences. We embrace all ethnicities, backgrounds, and cultures in the knowledge that we are one. And today's daily word is positivity. I plant seeds of positivity and harvest joy. Every gardener knows that blooms grow best in good soil. Even before planting, it's good practice to pull the weeds and prepare the soil, giving the seeds the optimal conditions in which to grow. Today, I tend the garden of my consciousness. I pull the weeds of worrisome and unforgiving thoughts by denying they have any power over me. I create a fertile environment for new positive thoughts to grow through regular prayer and meditation. When I touch that place of infinite stillness and peace, I affirm wholeness, prosperity, happiness, and security for my life. Like bright, beautiful flowers, these positive thoughts bloom and grow in my consciousness. From Philippians 4:8, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is pleasing, and whatever is commendable, think about these things.
Thank you. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, band. Yes. Well, I forgot to mention one other really exciting thing that was happening here this morning. For the first time in more than 2 years, our choir, at, at least the initial ones, met for the first time this morning, and they are practicing a song that they're going to share with us Easter Sunday. And yes, it's really exciting.
This is such a happy group. Can I take a picture of you and everybody in here? Isn't that a nice little introduction to have here?
Okay, well, let's do it quick because I got a lot to say. Smile. There we go. All right. So we're excited. Our plan is to have our grand reopening Easter morning in our sanctuary. So make plans to be here. We think we're going to be in there before then, but we need a couple of Sundays just to get our feet on solid ground again since everything is going to be installed new. And we'll ask you to put your patience on those first couple of Sundays we're back in there as we're figuring it out. So we are now on week 3 of a 6-week series exploring the blueprint for making the impossible possible. It's based on the story of Lazarus, and it is looking at the steps that Jesus took as he prepared to do this miraculous feat as an example to each of us of steps we can take to create our own resurrection experiences, our own overcoming of whatever might be showing up in our lives. When we start applying these to our own situations, they can lead us to the right solutions. They can open and expand our minds of what's possible. And the first step we looked at a couple of weeks ago was to turn away. It was to refocus our thoughts not on what the problem was, but rather to focus on what the solution we were hoping for, or just be fully present in life as we were going through this, trusting that it is all unfolding in its own perfect way. We look at this in the story where Jesus was told that his good friend Lazarus was dying, and instead of, like we would typically would in our humanness, jump up, jump in the car, fly, if we heard a loved one was very ill, instead of immediately going there, he stayed, he finished the work he was doing, he remained focused, he didn't worry or fear about what was going to happen to Lazarus. He trusted that it was all going to be okay. And that's what this story invites us to do when we're faced with situations that might cause us to be in fear or to worry. And now Jesus arrives in Bethany only to find out that Lazarus has been dead for 4 days. And in spite of what appears to be a hopeless situation, Jesus doesn't engage in that. He doesn't even engage when Mary tells him, "Where have you been? If you would have been here, you could have fixed this. You could have done something. You could have prevented him from dying." And instead, he instructs the crowd that's there to take away the stone. And we explored that last week, that as we take away our own stones, whatever obstacles might be, then we open the way, because there's no way Lazarus is coming out of the tomb with a big old stone blocking the way. And the same is often true in our own lives. When we have things that we are still holding tight to that are obstacles for the place that we want to get to, it makes it pretty difficult to do. And these can be a myriad of things. It'll be as unique as each of us are unique individuals, but oftentimes it is centered around some level of unforgiveness in our life. Those tend to be the big boulders that keep us from moving to the direction, to the places that we want to go. The roadblock, as we discovered, is something that's within us. It's not, if I could only get rid of that person or this situation or whatever it might be. The place that we look in order to be able to move through whatever the challenge is within. And could be a belief, it could be an attitude, it could be a habit that is choking off that life force within us. And today we're going to look at the third step, which is great expectations. Expectations have everything to do with faith and with belief. Oftentimes people will say, well, if I only had more faith, if I only had a stronger belief. And the truth is, and I want you to hear this really clearly, we already have all of the faith that we will ever need. It's not about getting more faith. It's about being clear about where and how we are directing our faith. What are we putting our faith in? And that may be what needs to shift. Expectations, what we are expecting, show us where we are placing our faith. Those who were standing around the tomb when Jesus showed up expected, believed that removing the stone would only expose the decay that had been happening over those 4 days. And yet Jesus had a very different expectation. Just like in step 1, when our humanness reacts with fear or worry or anger, whenever something very challenging seems to arise in our life, it is a natural human reaction to prepare ourselves for the worst. How many of you ever, just by a show of hands, how many of you prepared yourself for the worst? Or told somebody, well, just you need to prepare yourself for the worst? We prepare for the worst knowing that if it doesn't happen, there's no harm done. I have a husband that this is attitude. Well, I'm just going to expect the worst. So if something good happens, well, then I'll be surprised. But I won't be disappointed if what I've been expecting happens. And it's kind of like a weird little dichotomy that happens in our brains. When we prepare for the worst, knowing that no harm is done, then we set up a possibility for the worst to happen. Preparing for the worst, and sometimes we do need to prepare, is different from expecting the worst, from assuming that the worst is what the outcome is going to be. Because expectations, where we put our expectations, they have an energy about them. They gather energy. The more that we believe and have faith and expect, it gathers naturally the forces of the universe to support us in manifesting exactly what we feel, what we believe, what we expect is going to happen. Our expectations, whether they're positive or negative, are always based on a strong emotion, too. We will feel what that expectation is. And it operates at a pretty deep level within us. When we can couple our faith, especially the faith that we might have intellectually, with our expectations, then we begin to lay a new groundwork of possibilities. And oftentimes, when we have those two working in alignment with one another, what we experience is a knowing. How many of you, same raise of hand, have had a knowing that something good is going to happen, even if none of the circumstances seem to support that at the time? When we have this kind of knowing, then we're not necessarily only looking to what's happened in the past or what my experiences are, or even what the outer circumstances are right now. We can, at the core of our being, at our gut, oftentimes it's that gut feeling, can know that even though this is what's presenting itself right now, something different is seeking to grow and to express itself. I'll tell you, there's one person in my life that has been the greatest example for me about faith and knowing and expectations, and that was my dad. Unfortunately, he's not here on the planet with us anymore, but at age 52, he had a massive heart attack. I mean, it was this close for him leaving the planet at that time. But he was certain, even as his heart would stop and he had to have machines start it back up again, he was certain that he was here for quite some time. They also diagnosed him as diabetic. Over the years, he had a 5 bypass surgery, he had diabetes, he had a few short years later bladder cancer, he had congestive heart failure, he was diagnosed with leukemia. The list he had a clot in his leg that they had to go in and fix. There was just one thing after another. And his faith never wavered that he was going to move through whatever physical challenge showed up in his life, he would move through it. To the extent when, at 80, almost 81 years old, so this is 20 whatever it was, 28 years later, through all of these, when the day finally came, he had had a series of strokes. He could not move anymore. He was literally in the bed. He could still speak, but his body no longer was even able to turn itself over anymore. He said, I want to go to rehab. I need to at least try and see if I can get through this. Even when his heart doctor, who had been with him, his cardiologist, for 28 years said, Ken, we've done everything we can do, and we're at the end. There's not much more I can do. Finally, when we were all, the whole family was there, and we were at this rehab, because that's what he said he wanted to do, so we were honoring it, they said no. There is no way that, we can he has the capability to do any kind of physical rehab. And when I went and told him, it took about 3 or 4 hours for him to come to the realization and change his expectation that this was the time that he was set up to walk through. And it was only 4 or 5 days later that he left the planet. But when I don't care what diagnosis you get, if you have enough faith and expectation, he has been my example that you can walk through it. It's not easy. I remember him telling me that a lot, especially the last 10 years of his life, this was I may have shared this before, his description of his daily life said it was like walking through water with galoshes on. And for those of you who are of that age will know what galoshes are. So I watched him and saw him demonstrate what great faith, what great expectations can support us in moving through. So the big question that I have for you today that we ponder as we walk through these steps is, what are you knowing? What does your gut tell you you're knowing? What is your expectation for life as it moves forward, wherever you might be right now? How is it that we can shift that expectation should we find that maybe we've placed it in something that we would rather not see manifested in our life? We have to look at where we've placed our faith, because our faith very often is informing what we expect. What you strongly and consistently expect to come into your life is, in general, what you will experience. So what are you knowing? That's the question that I invite you to really explore this week. Are you knowing that the right job is waiting for you if that's what you're looking for? Are you knowing that a wonderful blessing will come out of your heartache over a loved one? Are you knowing that life is going to move back into a more normal experience as far as what you can go and do and connect and be in the world? Or are you knowing that you'll become a diabetic because your father was? Cancel, cancel, cancel. Or are you knowing that you never will have enough money because your parents were poor and you're going to be poor too? Cancel, cancel, cancel. Thank you. If you discover that your faith, your expectation is not in alignment with what you want to experience more of your life, then we have to begin to refocus it, to work consistently, to train our minds and our hearts for a new expectation. And this isn't easy. Sometimes turning our faith into a new direction can be more difficult than turning around a supertanker in a narrow channel. There's tremendous momentum that's been built up and now must be redirected. It requires patience, it requires trust, and oftentimes it asks us to tap into our own inner GPS. I love the author's analogy of inner wisdom being an internal GPS within us. We set out on a journey and we have expectations to arrive exactly in the coordinates that we have plugged in to our GPS. We assume we're going to arrive at that destination. And the GPS often will determine the best route for us to get there. And it guides us highway by highway and street by street. And if there's a detour that we encounter or we make a wrong turn, then what does it do? It reroutes us, recalculating, rerouting in order to then keep us pointed into whatever the direction is, the destination that we've told it we want to go to. And in that case, then the route may become different, but the goal becomes the same. And in that way, we have that inner guidance and directions within us if we'll tap into it, if we'll pay attention to it, if we'll allow it when we find ourselves having to detour or that we've missed the opportunity that we wanted to say yes to help us find a new route to that. And so we're going to start that right now as we take a moment to go within as we have our time of meditation here to just check in to where our expectations are right now and to listen a little more intently to our own inner GPS. I see for those who've been around for a while, you're already waiting, eyes closed, breathing into this moment. I invite you at home to do the same. Just relax into whatever chair is supporting you right now, bringing all of your attention into your inner space, attuning your ears to listen more intently to that inner voice. Perhaps closing your eyes so that you can see with the eye of your own inner wisdom. Feeling a sense of knowing that there is so much more than just this human body and the experiences it's having. There is a whole universe. There is the God atom and energy of life supporting you in getting to your final destination, whatever that might be. And so we imagine in this moment that that thinking part of us is now sinking slowly down into our heart space so that our thinking and our feeling become one. And that heart is connected to the heart of God, to the heart of life. And we ask our own highest wisdom to reveal to us where we are placing our expectations right now. Whether it's around a specific challenge or simply around life. What's possible for us at this place, at this time, at this path on the journey of life. And if that feedback to you is not the destination that you would hope, that you have faith that you'd like to arrive at, ask this spiritual wisdom to help you redirect it. Get clear in your mind and in your heart where it is that you want to plug into this GPS that's within you. And whether something is unfolding in this moment, trust that more will unfold in the days and the hours and the weeks to come. And as you have your daily prayer or meditation time, each day check in. And if you discovered that you've taken a different route, just ask that wisdom to help redirect you. Perhaps that's the path that you needed to experience in order to more richly celebrate arriving at the place where life will be most alive in you. Continue to allow this inner guidance to direct you each and every day, especially in those places where you want to remove a stone or redirect your faith. And feel that sense of appreciation to know that you don't have to figure this out and you don't have to walk it alone. That indwelling Christ potential is always, always seeking to rise higher in you and to bring new life and new ways to engage in life that not only bless you, but they bless the planet. They bless those that you love. They bless your community. And as you begin to bring your attention back to this time and to this space, bring back with you that faith to know, the belief to know that this is truly possible, because you don't do it on your own. You do it with the force of the good of the universe. And whenever you're ready, you can take a deep breath again and open your eyes. So whether it's the GPS in your car or within you, or your expectation for life, you have to first enter the address accurately. You have to set the destination, because if you don't, you're going to end up someplace totally unexpected. Sometimes that's happened in my life, and it's been good too. It may have been a destination that my soul knew I needed to go, but I didn't get the memo, and yet there I was. And so you can see why it's critical to check in, to be part of that guidance system to help direct the direction that you're heading. Great expectations bring great results. And so I want to ask you to affirm this series. We're affirming each week for ourselves, in our voice, in our hearts, and with our energy, that which we expect. So join with me and let's speak this together. I fully expect the right things to happen in my life, and I am at peace. Thank you, God. Amen. And together, as we follow these steps, we have great expectations that we will too rise up.
All right, new song for you. We're going to give it a shot. In the darkness all alone, growing comfortable, are you too scared to move and walk out of this tomb? Buried underneath the lies that you believed, safe and sound, stuck in the ground, too lost to be found. You're just asleep. It's time to leave. Come on and rise up. Take a breath, you're alive now. Can't you hear the voice of Jesus calling us out from the grave like Lazarus? You're brand new. The power of death couldn't hold you. Can't you hear the voice of Jesus calling us out of the grave like Lazarus? Rise up. Rise up. Rise up. Out of the grave like Lazarus. Lazarus. When he called your name, the thing that filled your veins was more than blood. It's the kind of love that washes death away. Now the door is open wide, and the stone's been rolled aside. The old is gone, the light has come, so come on and rise up. Take a breath, you're alive now. Can't you hear the voice of Jesus calling us out of the grave like Lazarus? You're brand new. The power of death couldn't hold you. Can't you hear the voice of Jesus calling us out of the grave like Lazarus? Rise up, rise up, rise up, out of the grave like Lazarus. Walk out of the dark. He's giving us new resurrected hearts. He's calling us to walk out of the dark. He's giving us new resurrected hearts. So come on, rise up, take a breath, you're alive now. Can't you hear the voice of Jesus calling us out of the grave like Lazarus? You're brand new. Power of death couldn't hold you. Can't you hear the voice of Jesus calling us out of the grave like Lazarus? Rise up, rise up, getting out of the grave like Lazarus. Rise up, rise up, rise up, out of the grave like Lazarus.
Sorry, the music just makes me move. I didn't want Nick to get me on camera, so I just had to go back there and dance a little bit. You have to come in person if you want to see that. I told Jeff I was going to be his backup dancer when we sing that at Easter. Anybody else who wants to come and join me? But yeah, it just makes my body move. Well, it is our opportunity now to share of our financial good, or at least prepare for that. We're not doing a formal offering here in the fellowship hall, but we certainly invite you to, however you share, to join with us as we bless it. We've got some baskets here that you can drop your gift off if you're sharing today. We're so grateful for those who share electronically, because that just gives us a feel for what we know we've got consistently coming in. Doing business in church is always a little bit an opportunity of faith and great expectations, because you're not always sure exactly what that's going to look like. So we are just so grateful for the good that flows in and through this ministry. We are so grateful that the insurance company is covering, in large part, this new sanctuary that we're going to have, for the gifts that we've received, and for the way that we will continue to grow and serve not only this community, but the greater community at large. So join with me as we take these gifts into our hands or into our hearts and bless them together. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, Father, Mother God. All right.
Good morning, y'all. I'm Sharon, and I want to welcome every single person here in the internet and those who are yet waiting to come. Many of you have been part of this community for a very long time, and you've contributed incredible things, and you continue to contribute those incredible things. Some of you are relatively new, and you're already contributing wonderful things. For those of you for whom it is the first time, we're so glad that you have chosen to join us. You will find that this is indeed an inclusive community, a welcoming community, an affirming community. You will find many messages here and many people that will give you ideas of how to tune in to that inner GPS so that you can live the life that you came to live. If you are watching for the first time, we invite you to visit our website and fill out the Connect card. And if you're local, we invite you to visit us in person. If you are visiting us in person for the first time, please complete a visitor card found on the tables with the offering baskets and drop it in the basket or leave it at the visitor desk. We welcome all of you. Our appreciation this week, there's a lot to appreciate, isn't there? Is for the sanctuary workers. Construction on our sanctuary finally began late last week, and the workers go nonstop every day, except for lunchtime. They do get to eat. They work together to build a new, strong structure for us, one that will last a lifetime, and we couldn't be more thankful. We invite you to affirm their safety with us daily, and as we hold them in prayer, we also appreciate the gifts they bring, not only to us, but to any job site that they enter. For their hard work and skilled hands, we say, we love you, we bless you, we truly appreciate you, and we behold the Christ in you. Namaste.
Here's what's coming up at Center of Unity. Take a minute to make a difference. Let's get our church home ready for the grand reopening this April. We need a lot of work outside, and we're hoping to find someone to scrape and repaint the front doors. There's also plenty to do inside, so please let Mary Salerno know when you're available to help. Donate a bag of eggs. In preparation for Easter, we're asking for donations of fillable eggs and wrapped candy for the Easter egg hunt. Look for the labeled basket in the COU Kids hallway. The Youth Ed Department is looking for volunteers to facilitate and teach the kids lessons on Sundays. If you feel led to help, please see Debbie after church or fill out the form on the COU app. Come join the book club on Saturday, March 26th at 11 a.m. as they discuss William Kent Kruger's Ordinary Grace. The Zoom ID is on the screen, or you can access it from our website or the COU app. There are multiple ways you can make a donation to Center of Unity. You can drop your donation off at the church, mail it to our P.O. Box, visit our website, use the COU or Venmo app, or you can text to give. Your continued support is greatly appreciated.
Yeah. So for those of you out there in virtual land, there's an extra ticket here, but you'd have to hurry because I have a feeling that it's going to be snatched up to go and see Kenny Green's play this afternoon. So that's wonderful. And also, one more quick announcement, and I hesitated to say it earlier because the other week I said it about 4 times when it was going to be announced and appreciated. But the Saturday morning Spirit Group is collecting items for Grace, food items for Grace. So there'll be a bin out here, and it's going to be through the end of April. So for those of you who feel moved to contribute that way, that's another great organization in our community. I think they'll take canned food, just nothing expired. Anything else they'll easily take. So, all right, let's
All
peace
right.
song.
Why don't we all stand up and let's do our peace song together?
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as our Father, family all are we. Let me walk with my family in perfect harmony. we. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
And so it is with great expectations that we go into this day, into this week, knowing our prayer for protection. Together, the light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. And the presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Have a beautiful day. We got some snacks. Check out the bookstore.